What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. Let's get into it. We were hit with some bad news. Ooh, Danny. Danny. Ooh, you were on my list today. But listen, the answer to your question is yes, and I'll give you a call later to talk the details. But I had to I had to make a phone. I had to talk to the other lady first before I gave you your answer. And I talked to her today. We've been playing phone tag. So I talked to her today. So the answer is yes. And so I'll give you a call about the details. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. Hey, you guys. So we were hit with some bad news today as it relates to the Shanquella Robinson case. Um, y'all come on in, hit the like button, take a seat, come on down front, come on down front. Of course, I was at work when the news hit, so I wasn't able to get to you guys sooner. I know a lot of other people have discussed this, so you guys might have overload. You might be tired of talking about it, but we're going to get into a few things. We're going to talk about what the government said and what the family's response is. So let's do a let's do a quick review. Most of you guys know exactly what we're talking about. Hey, everybody coming on in. Hey. Most of you guys know exactly what we're talking about as it relates to Shanquella Robinson and the case of the Cabo Six, as they dubbed them. So here's the situation with Shanquella Robinson. I'm sorry, y'all, I forgot to run a brush through my hair, child. So here's the case with Shanquella Robinson. Young lady out of Charlotte, North Carolina, went on a trip with her. I'll put in quotation marks, friends, down to Mexico, down to Cabo. They stayed at a very nice villa. And there was an incident that we've all seen the tape. And if you haven't seen the tape, you just have to go out there and find the video where there was an altercation. Shanquella did not fight back. And I'm giving you guys an overview because I don't want to get caught in the weeds and all of the details because, a lot of information was put out there. Some of it wasn't as accurate as others. So I don't want to get too caught in the weeds. I'm just giving you a brief overview of what happened. She did not fight back as a result of her being attacked. She lost her life. We know that the Cabo Six, as we're calling them, they then packed their bags, left Shanquella there, lied to her mother about what happened, and due to the family getting their own independent autopsy, they were able to get more details, and it went from there. This case really didn't go anywhere for 5 months. For 5 months, this case sort of lingered, and then in October of last year, I think it was October of last year, thanks to YouTube and bloggers picking up the story. I'm not going to say I was one of them. I was not first on the scene. I picked it up once it started because I actually had heard about the story. As I scroll, y'all know I scroll through stuff looking for stories and stuff. So I had actually read about the story, but I'll be honest with you, I just assumed that the police were going to handle it, and it would be what it was going to be. I didn't understand all the complexities of the situation at the time. So when it came back around that nothing had been done, there was no investigation, there was no nothing, and then it started, like I said, it started blowing up. So that was around October. So we are now in April, and we have been trying to understand, why has there been no arrest? Why has there been no movement on the case? The family, they've had protests. I told you guys about some of the things that the family has done to try to get the authorities to move forward and do the things that needed to be done. Well, today the federal government met with the family and let the family know that they would not be moving forward and pursuing criminal charges. So we're going to start with, I'm going to read you the story. Oh, sorry. I hate when I pick up my phone and it's like 20 things going on my phone and then I get distracted. I'm sorry, you guys. So we're going to start with, I'm going to read you the story from CNN, because, CNN usually is going to give you a more newsy point of view on it. If If I can pull it up. I got it on top news. I'm sorry, y'all, because it just... I don't know why it's not popping up. Okay. Because I clicked the link for that story, and of course it popped up everything except for the story that I wanted. All right. Then it won't be CNN. Maybe not. Maybe it won't be CNN. Okay. Shanquella Robinson. Okay. All right. So here we go, you guys. U.S. prosecutor. Hey, Pat. Hey. U.S. prosecutors tell family of Shanquella Robinson they won't pursue charges in her death in Mexico. Federal prosecutors told the family of Shanquella Robinson on Wednesday that the evidence they have isn't enough for prosecution. We'll put a pin in that because I don't know what you need for prosecution, but we'll put a pin in that. In Robinson's death last year in Mexico, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle and Western Districts of North Carolina said Robinson, a 25-year-old former student, yada, yada, yada. We know all of that. A copy of her death certificate obtained by CNN affiliate WBTV listed the cause of death as severe spinal injury and atlas luxation, which is instability or excessive movement in the uppermost neck vertebrae. The document stated that she was found unconscious in the living room of the rental residence on October the 29th. The death certificate classified Robinson's death as accidental or violent, noting that the approximate time between injury and death was 15 minutes. The video posted online appeared to show physical altercation inside the room. We know that. At the time, Bernard Robinson confirmed to CNN it was his daughter seen in the video being thrown to the floor and beaten in the head. It's unclear what led to the altercation or how many people were in the room at the time. It's also unclear if anyone tried to intervene. The FBI conducted a detailed and thorough investigation of the evidence. Now, they put that in parentheses. My bad. My timeline is off. I'll get back to that. I thought it happened prior to October, but it happened in October. My apologies. The FBI conducted a detailed and thorough investigation of the evidence and worked with the Robinson family to conduct an autopsy in the United States by the medical examiner's office in Mecklenburg County. Federal officials met with Robinson's family and representatives on Wednesday to offer their condolences. We don't want your condolences. We don't want your condolences. How about that? Anyway, to offer their condolences and present the findings of the federal investigation. Based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, federal prosecutors informed Ms. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support a federal prosecution, the news release said. Federal officials said they do not normally issue public statements about the status of an investigation, but in this case, they felt it was necessary because of the public concern surrounding the case. It is important to reassure the public that experienced federal agents and seasoned prosecutors extensively reviewed the available evidence and have concluded that federal charges cannot be pursued, the statement said. Prosecutors in Mexico said last year they were investigating Robinson's death as femicide, a crime defined as the intentional unaliving of a woman because they are a woman. In most countries, including the United States, femicide is not different from homicide in criminal law, but Mexico is among at least 16 countries that have included femicide as a specific crime. That is important, and we'll come back to that. That part is important. So that's the end of that article. So let me just say a couple of things, and then I'm going to let you guys listen to a little bit of the press conference that the family gave after this information was put out there. Sad to say, but I had a feeling this young lady would not see justice anytime soon. The crazy part to me is that her second autopsy was done after she was embalmed in the United States, and that the U.S. didn't find a broken neck. And of course, they wouldn't at that time because she was already embalmed, right? So this is what I'm going to say. This Mary, I agree with you on that. I absolutely feel like the family should sue for wrongful death. I agree with that. Listen, I have an unpopular opinion that y'all are not gonna like. Now y'all know I love y'all and I want y'all to love me back, and we can agree and we can disagree and keep it funky. Here's my issue, or here's the part that's the problem. First of all, this is political, right? This is political. And this is coming from somebody that I'm not an attorney, y'all. So I'm not speaking about this from any sort of legal point of view. I'm not an attorney. Here's my opinion. I understand we are emotional. I'm hurt and I'm pissed, right? And I understand that we are emotional. But here is the problem. The crime was not committed on American soil. I do not know what options the federal government has. I don't. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a federal prosecutor. So I do not know what their options were. I don't know what they would have been able to charge with. But what I know is the crime wasn't committed here. The crime was committed there. Now, I think if they had been able to show proof that the crime was planned here in the United States and then there was an extension into another country, there may have been something that they could do. That's my opinion. I don't know. I also think charging her with femicide instead of homicide is an issue. And some people might say, well, what's the big deal? Why does it matter? We did a video about this a few weeks ago. Nancy Grace had a federal marshal on there who does extraditions, and he explained that the extradition treaty that the United States had with Mexico, it is limited to specific crimes. The United States is not going to extradite something because they stole $20 out of a local, tourist shop down in Mexico. That they're not going to do that. There are very specific crimes that the United States that they will extradite for, and vice versa. Mexico can't come into the United States for any old crime. It has to be very specific crimes. I'm sorry, my phone is just going off. So, femicide is classified as a hate crime. This wasn't a hate crime, right? And again, the United States does not have femicide. It doesn't exist. So it's not in that list of crimes that the United States will extradite over. And I know that for those of us that are emotional, and again, I'm upset as well. We're like, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? The big deal is if the situation is ever reversed, we wouldn't want a U.S. citizen to be held accountable without the proper paperwork being filed and the proper procedure being followed, right? If the situation were ever reversed. So I say all that to say this. I don't know what loopholes the feds could have used, and I don't know how hard they tried. And I don't think they tried very hard. Now, that's my opinion. Do I think that there was a loophole that they could have found? Maybe. But do I think that they looked hard enough to find it? No, I don't. Mary says, being charged with femicide stopped the extradition process. The wording has to be the exact same law as the United States recognizes. Exactly. And that's the part that I need people to understand. I know we're upset and we're emotional, but that's the part I need people to understand. We don't get to just, I know it's hard to believe because we just running. It seems like we just run in and out of countries all the time and do what we want to do. But we don't get to just run in and out of countries and do what we want to do, right? Yes, an arrest warrant was issued, but Mexico is saying they're waiting for the United States. The United States is saying that's not a crime that we can extradite a U.S. citizen on. It just isn't. Now, if Mexico were to go and reword the paperwork, would the federal government act differently? Again, I don't have the answer to that question. I think my opinion is the answer to that is yes, but I can't say for certain that that's the answer to that. That's my opinion. I don't have anything more than that. But it was set exactly, Xavier. It was both sides set a dangerous precedent, right? The first side sets a dangerous precedent because now what it says is, hey, if I wanted to, unalive somebody, I just have to lure them out the country, and I can do it, and I don't have to worry about being charged with it, right? But it also sets a dangerous precedent on the other side. If the United States were to totally throw out their extradition treaty and and play with the world side in the first place, then Mexico really doesn't want to deal with this case. That's a good question. Now, Nancy Grace, when the video that I watched on Nancy Grace, and I have to find it for you guys. We did the video on it maybe about 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. I don't know if it was that long ago. Maybe about a month ago, we did a video on it. It was an update to the Shanquella Robinson case, but it'll be under the playlist, quick chats. It'll be under that playlist. The marshal that Nancy Grace had on her show, he felt like Mexico did it on purpose, understanding that the United States would not recognize femicide and that the United States would not be able to take the case any further because they really don't want to deal with this case. Like, Mexico really doesn't want to deal with this case. Now, that's one theory. That is one theory. Hey, beep beep toot toot. That's one theory, that Mexico really doesn't want to deal with this case, and they purposely did it knowing that the United States does not recognize femicide. That is one argument. The other argument is, in Mexico, that's what they would have charged the case. But my thing is, even by the definition of what femicide is, this case doesn't fall under femicide. This case doesn't fall under the definition of femicide. So even under the definition of femicide, that's not what this case is. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what this case is, in my opinion. Between Shanquella and the people that accidentally killed by the cartel, this has put Mexico. Well, I don't mean no harm, but Mexico wasn't in the best light to begin with. I mean, I hate to say it like that. I ain't trying to offend nobody, but I mean, now, at best is manslaughter or even involuntary manslaughter, because the question you have to ask, and again, we take our emotions out of it. Some people feel like they intended to unalive her. I'm not one of those people. I do not think that was their intention. I think the intention was to whoop her ass. But I also think they thought she would fight back and it would be a whole situation. That is what I think the intention was. I think that's why I think they were videotaping it. And you even heard the guy saying, "Dan, Shanquella, fight back." I really don't think that was their intention. So even with manslaughter, you would have to prove that it was purposefully done. I think involuntary manslaughter is probably the better charge, because that's a hard thing to prove, that they intended for her to die. That's a hard, in my opinion. Now, I think that, there's some people who feel like they purposely, that was their goal from the beginning. I don't think that was their goal. I honestly don't. I do not think their plan was to unalive her. I do not. Because and the reason why I say that, y'all, is, and this is gonna sound crazy. One, because I just don't think that's what it was. But two, when you wait to the end of your vacation, like if your goal was to use her, spend up all her money, take advantage of her, and then unalive her, why would you do it on the first day of your vacation? Wouldn't you do it? And then you got to change your flight reservations. You got to hurry up and get out of the country. I don't think that was the plan. I think the plan was to whoop her tail, get it all out their system, whatever they was mad at her about, get it out their system, whoop her tail, and then finish out the vacation however. Because that's what people do sometimes. They fight and then they move on, child. I wonder who lied, because the autopsy said her neck wasn't broken. So what happened to her then? What autopsy? The one in Mexico? Exactly, Xavier. I agree. I agree with you. There were too many elements out of her control for this to be planned. And again, that's my opinion. Y'all ain't gotta agree, but that's my opinion. All right, let's listen to a little bit of the press conference by the family attorney. It's interesting because the family attorney was on Ready to Love this last season, Sue Ann. All right. All right. Let's listen to a little bit of the press conference. All right. Oh, here it is right here.
Attack, okay. An assault, a crime happening, and nothing.
Sorry, y'all. I'll go back to the beginning.
Having a heart attack, and that. Oh yeah.
I'm confused about some things though, because if you listen to the person at the hotel, Dejanay was the main guest, not Shanquella. If I paid, your name wouldn't be next to main anything. And that's, you know what, Mary, that's why I didn't want to get into the weeds, because I think a lot of things were said that weren't necessarily the case as it relates to, we heard all kinds of stuff. Because just like with cases like this that become sensationalized, a lot of stuff gets put out there that isn't always true or isn't factual and fabricated or partly true or whatever. And so I agree. And that's why I was like, I'm not going to get into all of the, because I think, and so I agree with you on that. I've heard so many different stories that at this point, we're just going to talk about the big picture and then we'll, but I agree. I've heard a lot of different stories. All right, let's listen to a little bit of this press conference.
I definitely want to see the progress continue. I think it's a great thing. I had the opportunity to work in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County for 23 years as assistant fire marshal.
Thank you again. Thank you, Mario.
It's a little low in the beginning, but then she starts talking into the mic.
Appreciate it. We're here today. Obviously, everyone knows that the FBI has released their statement indicating that they don't plan on filing any charges after investigating Shanquella's case. So we're here today. We're disappointed, but we're not deterred. It's not something that's really unexpected in the sense that Black and brown people always have to carve their own path to justice. Today, just sitting in the meeting with the family, listening to what we were being advised and listening to what the so-called investigation was revealing, I thought back to Miss Wanda, Ahmaud's mother, who had to take her case to the state attorney's office and had to beg for charges to be pressed in the death of her son. And I remembered Sandra Bland's mother, who had to do the same thing when they told us all that an investigation revealed that
Mr. Willie Brown
was suicide. And I think most about in Shanquella's case, because her attack was captured on video, and now we're being told that there isn't going to be an arrest, or there aren't going to be any charges brought. It reminds me of George Floyd and how we were told that while we were watching with our own eyes Derek Chauvin putting his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we were being told that he was having a heart attack and that he was suffering from a drug overdose. So while we're here disappointed, we're not deterred. We're going to continue to press on. We're going to continue to demand that there's a high level of diplomatic intervention in this case, that if the U.S. authorities are now again telling us, oh, well, it's back on Mexico because Mexican authorities have to do something, we don't have a problem with that. We know that we have to carve our own path to justice, and we've been doing that from the very beginning.
So it sounds like the FBI told the family the exact same thing that the marshal told Nancy Grace. That video that I did, like I said, I did that video about a month or so ago. Hey, Nay, what's up, boo? I think what and remember the guy that spoke on that video on Nancy Grace's show, he's been a federal marshal. He said he's done extraditions all over the world. And he said that then he said the United States is going to put it back on Mexico because Mexico again used the language. Hey Tracy, you just got the notification. Mexico used the language of femicide, and that is not a recognized crime here in the United States. We do not have a crime in the United States of femicide. Like you said, we have hate crimes on the books, but then we don't call them femicide. We call it something else. There's, you'll still be charged with, manslaughter or, charged with, with homicide under, and then they'll put it under the hate crime statute. It'll be charged as a hate crime, but we do not recognize femicide. And what the federal marshal, what the marshal said was, what ends up happening with the extradition is that there are specific crimes that the United States and Mexico have agreed to, and if you are not following those specific crimes, if it doesn't fall under that umbrella of those specific crimes, then the United States has no authority to execute this arrest warrant. So Mexico issued an arrest warrant for femicide, and so the federal government is like, what is femicide? So it sounds like the FBI told her or told the family the exact thing that the federal marshal on Nancy Grace's video said a month ago.
Mrs. Robinson has demonstrated tremendous strength, and I talk about it all the time, as well as Cole and her sister, having to bury a child, grieve for a child, get through all of that stuff, and then fight for justice for your child at the same time. And then being advised today, well, despite there being a video.
And that's a fact, Jason. It would not survive a challenge in America if they get listen, if I'm one of the Cabo Six and the marshals knock at my door and arrest me on a charge of femicide, do y'all know how fast my attorney, if I have a good attorney, y'all know how fast my attorney would get that out? Yeah, we said that, Mari. This is Sue Ann. Yep, from Ready to Love.
Showing vicious and brutal attack of your child while she's naked and obviously not fighting back, that there is nothing that can be done in terms of charges being filed by the FBI, that you have to seek your redress and your justice somewhere else. And that's fine. Mrs. Robinson, again, is obviously disappointed, as is all the family at the meeting today. But we're not deterred. We're still going to be marching. We're still going to rally in DC.
Thank you. 19th. Okay, they're having a rally in DC on May the 15th. So if anybody is in the DC area, I think I'm going to go. If I'm in town, I have to look at my calendar and see if I'm going to be here. But if you guys are in the DC area, or if even you want to travel to DC, there's going to be a rally. The family is having a rally on May 15th. So no, you good. You're good, Mari. You good.
Because it shouldn't be that in this country that Black women, Black and brown victims of crime have to do this every time they are victims of crimes. But it is unfortunately what it is. And again, any discrepancies or any issues with respect to Mexican autopsy versus the autopsy conducted by the FBI, all of those things are going to be a result of a delay. And now we're witnessing the result of a delay, which is why there was always a concern, which is why I always say this is the people's case, this is the people's movement that said, hey, there's no reason why a Black woman should go on vacation with her friends, be returned to her family in a box, and nothing be done for 5 months, that the FBI be permitted to sit on their hands, that they be permitted to say, we're working, because justice delayed can be justice denied. We all know that and have seen it time and time again. And so that's why I say, on behalf of the family, again, we're very disappointed, very deeply disappointed. But we're not deterred because it's something that we've seen before, and we know that we have to carve our own path to justice. Ms. Robinson knew that when she asked me to go on a fact-finding mission to Mexico, that we were obviously in a state of affairs where there's two different justice systems in America. And we know that in ours, we have to fight for our justice. We have to rally for our justice. We have to beg for the same constitutional rights. And Shanquella is doing that even in death. Even in death, she's having to fight for her rights as a U.S. citizen, as a victim of a crime. The U.S. authorities have to understand and have to know that even if for them it's not about Shanquella, that United States citizens cannot go to Mexico, commit a crime that we all saw on a video, and then come back to America and say, we're on base, we're safe.
The full press conference you can find it online. I went to WCNC, which is the Charlotte affiliate, and they have it on their YouTube channel. They have the whole thing on their YouTube channel, so you guys can go see it. She does thank bloggers and social media and YouTube for putting a spark in this case and keeping this case going. She does thank the community here on YouTube for that. And there was a question and answer part of the trial, of the press conference. And one of the things that she said, one of the bloggers, one of the local bloggers was there, and he said, "What can we do? What is it that we can do?" And she said, "Just keep talking about it. Keep it in the news. Keep bringing her name up, because the reality is, you guys, like Janae just said, and like she said in the press conference, we do have to carve our own path to justice. Even though I look at this from a technical point of view and understanding what some of the technical obstacles are with this case, I also emotionally look at it from the point of view of it's a Black girl gone, and nobody seemed to care until social media made it a thing, until social media shook the table, right? And it shouldn't have been that. Part of the reason why there are issues is because it started with Mexico. It started with Mexico. Mexico did not do what they should have done on their part, which put America, the family, authorities behind the 8 ball from the beginning with this case. Extra Smoke Dragon says, under Rule 12b-6 is a motion to dismiss for lack of basis upon which relief can legally be provided. Since we don't have femicide, this doesn't have a statute which has been violated. No transfer can occur. Right. And when Tracy, do you mind doing me a favor? Tracy, can you look under my playlist, my quick chat playlist, and find the last Shanquella Robinson video I did? It was called Why Hasn't There Been No Arrest? I believe is the name of that video. If you could put that link in the chat, because that's what that whole video was about. And it was based on the Nancy Grace video that I told you guys that I watched. And again, the technical side of this is what it is. And like Jason just said, if you can't be convicted of a crime that doesn't exist under our statute here in the United States. You just can't be convicted. Like, femicide does not exist. Now, if Mexico had put, manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter or, murder, or homicide on that extradition treaty, that would be a different conversation. And I'm not saying that means that the FBI would have made a different decision today. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is Mexico made it harder by charging femicide, and that marshal who said that he's done extraditions all over the world for many, many years and many, many capacities for the federal government, he said Mexico knew what they were doing when they did it. That was his opinion. His opinion was that Mexico knew what they did because Mexico really doesn't want to deal with this case. Now, that's his opinion. That ain't a fact. That's just what he's saying. He said Mexico really don't want to deal with this case. So, but that's the issue. Fighting for your rights as a U.S. citizen is pointless if it's a crime that happened where you are not a citizen. And honestly, Mexico could give a damn about Americans. Well, honestly, thank you, Tracy. There's the video right there, you guys. It's in the link. Tracy, and so the thing is, let me read that again. But that's the issue. Fighting for your rights as a U.S. citizen is pointless if it's a crime that happened where you are not a citizen. No, it's not pointless. I don't think it's, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it being pointless. Is it harder? Yes. Is it pointless? No, I do not agree with that. Because again, there have been cases where U.S. citizens have gotten justice. There have been cases where violations have happened in other countries and U.S. citizens have gotten justice. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I know it's easy to throw our hands up and be like, well, what the hell is the use? But I don't agree with that. The fact is we are undereducated in the laws that govern our society. Basic tort law is the minimum. We are never set up for success. I have been forced into for the past 750 plus days. Oh, okay. And I'm going to say this too. Damn, I lost my train of thought just that quick. I was going to say it and it left my mind as soon as I was getting ready to say it. What was I getting ready to say? Both dropped the ball to me. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. Hey. Oof. Hold on. Hold on a second, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that. So, what was I gonna say though? I really had something to say a second ago. Oh, earlier today I was listening. Tracy Pacquiao, we about to go. Shut up. You better not take my. That's my. Listen, she not just my mod. She my showrunner and my producer. Tracy be sending me all the information. Okay, she is my showrunner and my producer. But I knew what I was gonna say. See, Mims, thank you for coming out the bushes. Earlier today, I was listening to Mims's video, and somebody came up on his panel, and they were talking about the Natalie Holloway case over in Aruba. And if you guys remember, Natalie Holloway was a young white girl. We're just gonna call a thing. She was on her spring break or her senior trip or something like that in Aruba. She came up missing again. Not gonna get into the details and get into the minutia. She met a kid over there, well, a young guy. I could say he was a kid. She met a guy over there. They went out on a date. She disappeared, never to be seen again. Right? Her case, obviously, because she was a young white girl, their family didn't really have to do a lot of work to get her case out there. However, I think what people forget is that her family had to do a lot of work to get justice. Now, they didn't have to do a lot of work to get her story out there. Everybody was talking about the missing white girl down in Aruba. And I'm gonna tell you, when I went to Aruba maybe 2 years after this happened. And our cab driver, and again, you never know whether people are telling you what you want to hear and they just entertaining the tourists or if they really tell you the truth. But our, cab driver who was taking us around or whatever, and my cousin who was with us, my cousin was like, do you know anything? Like, did you have, like, what was it like here in Aruba when the Natalie Holloway case was going. And mind you, this was 2 years later, and there still had not been an arrest. There still had not been anything done. I want to say it was 2 years. My timeline might be off, but I know it was at least a year later because we were there. We were there during the summer, and it would have been at least the summer after this happened. But I really think it was more like 2 years. And the cab driver said to us, everybody know what happened to that girl. He said, everybody knows that boy did it. He said, that boy is a menace on this island, but his family is rich and connected and white. And I think people forget that part. It's easier. I was not in a room with the man, I wish. But it's easier. Again, now, did they get the attention? Yes. They definitely got the attention. Right. Thank you, Karen Adams. They were like the Murdoch family of Aruba. Absolutely, they were. So they definitely got the attention. And her family did not have to work as hard to get her story out. That is a fact. But it took them a long time to get justice. Now, eventually, they did, but it took them a while. Hey, Keisha, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you so much, my love. Yes, that case was everywhere. That case was everywhere. And so I honestly, you guys, I feel like that's why I say I don't think it's pointless. And that's what I'm saying. It's not, in my opinion, it's not pointless. Is it hard? Are we going to have to work? Are people like me and Mims and Jamie and all these other people who've been talking about the Shanquella Robinson case, are we going to have to stay vigilant? Yes. Are we going to have to keep it out there? Yes. But I would not say it is pointless. And I'm going to actually reach out to Sue Ann, who is the attorney for the family. You know, her and Simone, they do a panel together over on Simone Girl Is That Legal's channel. I'm going to reach out to Simone and see if I can get Sue Ann to come on my platform and just get her to talk to us about the family's point of view and maybe some more information that she can share. We know she can't share everything, but some more information that she can share as it relates to what the FBI said and what the reason is and what the technical issue is. Because again, just because Nancy Grace said don't make it true. I'm just telling you what Nancy Grace has said. But I am going to reach out right now. I'm sure she's busy, but I am going to reach out to Simone and see if I can set that up. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to definitely work on that. But I don't want us to be discouraged. It's hard and we're pissed. We're disappointed. But I really, really, really do think, yes. Yeah, thanks. See, this one I'm talking about, Tracy. Thank you, boo. Hey, Elizabeth. You guys can check out Sue Ann. She's been on Simone's platform, Girl Is That Legal. And so, like I said, y'all know Simone has been over here a number of times. So I'm definitely going to reach out and see if I can get her to come over here and talk to us, okay? Can the U.S. exhume her body and do their own autopsy? Well, the family did an autopsy. I mean, at this point, the answer to your question is I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the answer. I honestly don't know. But the family did their own autopsy once her body was shipped home. Remember, the family paid for their own autopsy. They had to pay. The family had to pay out of their pocket to bring her home, and then the family paid out of their pocket for a separate autopsy. If it hadn't been for the family doing a separate autopsy, I don't even know if it would even been a situation. You're welcome, Nico. You're welcome. Be not discouraged. It may be disappointing and exhausting, but still keep hope. Yeah. And that's why I said if I'm if I'm in town on the 15th, I'm definitely going to go down to the rally. I will vlog is not the word I want to use. I would definitely let you guys know I'm down there. I'll go live and things like that. But I'm definitely gonna go down there if I am in town that weekend. I think I am. I'm not sure. I think it's the weekend after that I'm going to be out of town. So I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to stay on it. We're going to stay vigilant. And I appreciate it. I hope you've hit the like button on your way in. I appreciate that. We are actually getting ready to come back. I'm giving y'all a double header tonight. We're actually going to come back at 7 o'clock. And we're going to talk about Storm Monroe's interview with Tim Savage that he posted last night. If you're not sure who Tim Savage is, then come back at 7 o'clock and find out. Be careful. I'll be careful. What you mean? You think somebody going to get me at the rally? It's not a matter of autopsy. There's no crime. You need a crime to even do a wrongful death or negligence. It works like this: duty, failure, harm. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Blue Prada Shoes? Yeah. And again, I think that's the part that, again, we have to take our emotions out of the law, right? Emotionally, we see a crime being committed on a video camera, right? We see the video. In our mind, a crime was committed. We don't understand the problem. But we, and I say we, I mean all of us, we have to take our emotions out of, like I said, it's not a crime until you charge with it. It's not a crime. Oh, no problem. Thank you, Elizabeth. Child, it's just me getting on the subway. But thank you. I live in DC, so it's just me getting on the subway and taking my butt downtown, because I'm sure the rally is gonna be here in DC, and I'm sure it's gonna just be downtown. It's just a matter of me getting on the subway. But thank you, because something can happen on the subway, child. So thank you. But it's not a crime until you charge with it. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, I can break into people's houses for 10 years, and if I get away with it, I get away with it. It's once I get charged, now we got a situation. And so with that being said, as long as, in my opinion, as long as that extradition says femicide, I don't know where the United States goes with that. But again, this is coming from somebody that don't have nobody's law degree. I keep telling y'all, I got my law degree from the Law School of Law and Order by way of Matlock University. I don't know nothing more than that, okay? So that's why I'm going to reach out and try to get you guys a legal expert. And if I can get the family attorney, that's even better. And then we can have the conversation, and you guys can ask whatever questions from the chat that you would like to ask. So I'm going to work on that, and I'll definitely get back to you guys as soon as I can work something out. At the very least, I can get Simone up here, and we can talk about it, okay? And Simone actually practiced law in Mexico, I believe. I believe it was Mexico. Simone actually lived in Mexico for a while, and she practiced law in Mexico. So she would definitely have an insight as well. Simone would actually have some insight as well. So if we can't get Suan, then we could at least get a legal expert who practiced law in Mexico, and she would have an insight into that. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna get up off of here. Thank you guys for coming through. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the likes. I haven't checked the likes, but I know my mom would have told me if they was looking crazy. And like I said, we're gonna be back at 7 o'clock, and we're just gonna, something a little lighter. Well, it ain't lighter because it's R. Kelly, so I shouldn't say that. It ain't lighter. But we're gonna talk about you got a certificate from Judge Judy University. I got that certificate too. I took that class too, child. And Judge Mathis. In Judge Mathis class, I learned how to identify a crackhead. That is what I learned. That is what I learned how to do in Judge Mathis class. I learned how to identify a crackhead. Okay? That's what I learned. All right, you guys. Thank you for coming through. Please, please, please hit that like button, and I'm going to see you guys in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Meet me back here. Right here. All right? Talk to you later. Peace.